With the help of a doorman, Jennifer loads up her car, leaves behind the comfort of her Manhattan home, and makes her way to a rented lake house deep in the countryside. After 3 straight hours on the road, she stops at a small gas station to stretch her legs and fill her tank. The moment she steps out, 3 men loitering near the station take notice. She's young, attractive, and clearly an outsider. One of them, Johnny, the gas station manager, approaches to assist her, while the other 2, both jobless and carefree, seem lost in their own world, laughing and playing like children. Jennifer, naturally friendly, strikes up a conversation with Johnny. She mentions she'll be spending the summer at a house by the lake, about half a mile down the road, and isn't sure what to expect. Johnny assures her the place is wonderful, so wonderful in fact that he doubts she'll ever want to leave. After he finishes filling her tank and wipes a smudge off her windshield, Jennifer pays him and drives off. As she pulls up to the house, she realizes Johnny was right. It's breathtaking. A short story writer by profession, Jennifer hopes the quiet beauty of the countryside will finally help her transition into writing her first full-length novel. In New York, distractions were endless. Here, she has privacy, freedom, and she intends to make the most of it. She takes off her clothes and slips into the lake, the cool water washing away the weight of city life. Afterward, she changes into something comfortable and begins unpacking. As she sorts through the drawers, her hand brushes against something unexpected, a weapon, hidden away. Before she can fully process it, a sudden knock at the door startles her. She opens it to find a young man standing there with her grocery delivery. His name is Matthew. It doesn't take long for Jennifer to notice that Matthew has a mild intellectual disability. She wonders if he had any trouble finding the lake house, but he reassures her with a bright smile. He knows the area better than anyone. Jennifer is impressed. In New York, people rarely pay attention to their surroundings, too busy rushing from one place to another. Matthew quickly picks up on her city background and makes an assumption. She must be a loose woman coming from such a sinful place. Curious, he casually asks if she's alone. Amused by his line of questioning, Jennifer jokes that she's staying in the big house with her fictional character, Mary. Jennifer must be famous, so he asks if she has a boyfriend. Jennifer playfully replies him that she has many. To Jennifer, it's harmless banter, but to Matthew, it's something else entirely. Confirmation. Proof that she is exactly what he imagines. His excitement is palpable as he eagerly offers to be her friend. Unaware of his interpretation, Jennifer simply smiles, hands him a generous tip, and watches as the childlike man rides his bike away, his mind now spinning with possibilities. Matthew rushes to share his news with his friends, the same 3 men Jennifer had encountered at the gas station. Bursting with excitement, he boasts about the beautiful woman staying at the lake house, insisting that he saw her breasts. The men, well acquainted with Matthew's awkward nature, barely acknowledge him. They've spent the day loitering, restless and bored, with little patience for his rambling. Instead, they focus on passing the time, fishing, joking, and fantasizing about their ideal women. Eventually, the conversation drifts to their shared dream of visiting Los Angeles, where they imagine they'd have their pick of so-called loose women. At some point, the discussion shifts back to Matthew. They tease him about never having been with a woman before, offering to set him up with someone. But Matthew refuses. He insists he's saving himself for Jennifer. To him, she's different, unlike the women in town. Up until now, Jennifer had mostly faded from their thoughts, but Matthew, eager to impress, brings her back into their minds, and with a twist. He paints her as a woman of easy virtue, falsely claiming that the generous tip she gave him was actually payment for a kiss she begged him to give. This makes the others realize that the loose woman they've been dreaming of being with someday is already within reach. The next day, unaware of the comments her so-called friend Matthew had made about her, Jennifer takes a canoe out onto the lake, letting the beauty of nature wash over her. She finds it peaceful and inspiring, and for the first time since arriving, she feels ready to write. But while lying in her hammock, putting word after word on paper, her solitude is interrupted by the loud roar of an engine, breaking the quiet, slicing through the stillness of the lake. She turns to see a motorboat speeding past the cottage. It's Stanley and Andy. After hearing Matthew's story the night before, curiosity has gotten the better of them. Jennifer is no longer just a passing thought. She's an opportunity. Their disruptive display breaks Jennifer's concentration, making her abandon her writing and head inside. Later that night, as she lies in bed doing research, an uneasy feeling creeps over her. She hears faint but distinct noises that make her realize someone is outside, and it sounds like Stanley and Andy. Peering into the darkness and investigating her surroundings, Jennifer sees nothing. Just the night and the soft rustling of trees. When she steps back inside, she considers the weapon she found earlier, just in case. But after a moment, she shakes the thought away. Not yet. she's not about to kill an innocent person. The following day, trying to recapture the inspiration she felt the previous day, Jennifer drifts on the lake in her canoe, enjoying the warmth of the sun, the stillness of the lake, and the calmness of the nature around her. It's exactly what she needs. Until Stanley and Andy return, circling her in their motorboat. Panic surges through her. She fights back, swinging her paddle, trying to fend them off. But she's outnumbered and overpowered. Then they grab the rope tied to her boat, and she's pulled towards shore at a location far from her house. As soon as they drag her onto the shore, she runs, racing toward the woods, thinking if she can just reach the trees, she can lose them. She almost makes it. But then Johnny appears, blocking her path, making her fall to the ground. Johnny grabs her clothes, then calls out for Matthew to become a man. Matthew hesitates, but Johnny doesn't waste time. If Matthew won't take her, he will. So Johnny mistreats her. Afterward, Jennifer struggles to her feet, forces herself forward, desperate to escape. As she leaves, Johnny makes one last attempt to pull Matthew in. He taunts him, coaxing him, telling him he'll never get another chance with a woman like this. But Matthew still hesitates. Jennifer's broken state unsettles him. Instead of taking Johnny's offer, he reaches out, trying to help her walk. But Jennifer won't let him touch her. Not after everything. Barefoot, battered, and barely holding herself together, Jennifer stumbles into the wilderness. Though the terrain is unforgiving, with mud sucking at her feet and branches clawing at her skin, Jennifer pushes on, determined to find her way home. Then she hears music, a harmonica, faint but distinct, drifting through the trees. Jennifer believes someone's nearby, someone who can help. She desperately follows the sound, but as she steps into a small clearing, she realizes the man playing the harmonica is Andy. And he's not alone. The others emerge from the shadows, surrounding her like a pack of wolves. This time, Andy takes his turn and mistreats her. He doesn't hold back. The pain is unbearable, so overwhelming that Jennifer finally gives in and passes out. Seeing her unconscious, the men decide to leave her and head back to their boat. To cover their tracks, they tow her canoe to the middle of the river and abandon it there, tossing her clothes into the water. Hours later, Jennifer regains consciousness. Weak and disoriented, she stumbles through the wilderness, desperately trying to find her way home. After what feels like an eternity, she finally succeeds, but collapses just as she reaches her house. Crawling inside, she manages to reach her phone and tries to call for help. But before she can speak to the person on the other end, someone kicks the phone out of her hand. The crew is back. Thinking Jennifer died in the woods, they decided to head to her house to cover up their tracks. When they see that she's still alive, they decide to continue mistreating her. Jennifer barely has time to react before they attack her again, causing the defenseless woman agony. Weak and exhausted, Jennifer fights back, but her resistance only fuels Stanley's rage. He overpowers her effortlessly, forcing her into unconsciousness once more. Once more, the group turns to Matthew, taunting him to be a man. This time, their words get to him. With Jennifer lying motionless before him, Matthew takes a swig of liquid courage and finally gives in. Jennifer regains consciousness, and the first thing she sees is Matthew. It takes a moment for her to realize what is happening. Around them, the others laugh and mock her writing, tearing apart her manuscript, the pages of her hard work. As Jennifer struggles to stay conscious, Stanley approaches her. Desperate, she pleads with him, but Stanley is beyond reason. He refuses, and his brutality shocks even the others. When he is finally done, the men pull him away, their faces pale and uneasy. His violence leaves a sour taste in their mouths, and one by one, they begin to leave. Outside, Johnny suddenly realizes the gravity of what they've done. Jennifer is a witness to their crimes. He turns to Matthew and orders him to finish the job. Matthew is the perfect fall guy if things go south. So Johnny hands him a knife and instructs him to aim for the left side of her chest, between the ribs, and to make sure it goes in deep. The gruesome description makes Matthew queasy. He hesitates, but doesn't have the courage to refuse their leader, Johnny. When Matthew steps back into Jennifer's house, he looks down at her unconscious body. His guilt overwhelms him, and he can't bring himself to do it. Instead, he dabs the knife in her blood to make it look like he followed through, and returns to the others, claiming he's killed her. Johnny collects the murder weapon, and the men leave. Hours later, Jennifer drags herself to the bathroom, her body aching and her spirit shattered. She washes the filth from her skin, the water running red and brown as she scrubs away the evidence of their cruelty. In the days that follow, a traumatized Jennifer tends to her wounds, both physical and emotional. She gathers the torn pages of her manuscript, piecing them back together as she tries to do the same with herself. One day, her boat washes ashore. As she retrieves it, The simple act reminds her of why she came to this place, the inspiration this magical environment once gave her. The memory of her purpose reignites a spark within her, and she decides to channel her pain into her writing, and it helps. For the first time, the words flow from her, raw and unfiltered, as she begins to rebuild her life, one sentence at a time. Meanwhile, 2 weeks have passed since the crew believed Matthew had ended Jennifer's life. Yet, there has been no news of a body found, no foul smell of decomposition, no signs of a crime. The crew have no idea of what is going on at the lake house and have avoided the house, fearing that criminals often return to the scene of their crimes, risking capture. Instead, they turn their attention to Matthew, scrutinizing his behavior for signs that he might have lied about killing Jennifer. Matthew becomes anxious. His guilt and fear makes him begin to act erratic. Johnny, observing Matthew's unraveling, begins to suspect he never went through with the act. To confirm his suspicions, Johnny sends Andy and Stanley on a reconnaissance mission to the lake house. As their boat glides past the property, they spot Jennifer outside, sitting on the ground with a blank, distant stare in her eyes. Now certain Jennifer is alive, the crew confronts Matthew. They rough him up for his failure and cast him out, warning him never to return. Meanwhile, the sight of Andy and Stanley returning to the lake house makes Jennifer realize she is still in danger. Determined to protect herself, she retrieves the gun and heads to a local church. Inside, she kneels in silence, seeking forgiveness for what she is about to do. After leaving the church, Jennifer begins to execute her plan. She observes Johnny at the gas station, watching as he interacts with his family, his wife and 2 children. Seeing this side of him, she decides to leave him alone for now, shifting her focus to Matthew. Jennifer calls the grocery store, placing an order she knows Matthew will be sent to deliver. When the order is placed and Matthew is assigned her groceries for delivery, Matthew, already on edge, paces nervously, unable to entertain the thought of confronting Jennifer. However, seeing the store's staff cut some meat gives him an idea and courage to pick up the groceries and a knife, then head to Jennifer's house. Upon arriving, he sees Jennifer outside. She greets him with a calm demeanor and lures him deep into the woods. Under the shade of a large tree, she seduces him, exploiting his vulnerability. Matthew, torn between rage and regret, confesses that he hates her for ruining his life, but also apologizes, admitting he valued their friendship. He explains that he knew she would leave at the end of the summer and he would be left alone with the others. Jennifer listens silently, her true intentions unreadable. She removes her clothes, and Matthew, unable to resist, succumbs. Just as he reaches the peak of his vulnerability, Jennifer strikes. She wraps a rope around his neck, hanging him from the tree until his movements cease. Once certain he is dead, she pushes his body into the lake, staging it to look like a suit. She tosses his bicycle and the groceries into the water, ensuring the scene is convincing. Returning to the house, Jennifer calls the grocery store, calmly complaining that her delivery never arrived. At the gas station, Jennifer spots Johnny alone. She approaches him with a seductive smile, directing him to enter her car. Johnny, believing Jennifer loved every moment of what they did to her, starts to feel a twisted sense of pride and recalls how he once told her she would like it here. He follows her without hesitation. Halfway to her house, Jennifer stops the car. When Johnny steps out, she points a gun at him, ordering him to remove all his clothing. Johnny, caught off guard, tries to shift the blame onto her. He claims she enticed them, exposing her legs at the gas station, wearing a sheer top without a bra in front of Matthew, and lying in the canoe in her bikini as if inviting their advances. Jennifer listens, her disgust growing as Johnny continues to justify their actions. Realizing he doesn't deserve a quick death, she pretends to believe him and invites him back to the lake house for a hot bath. Johnny, misreading her intentions, follows her. In the bathroom, Jennifer plays along, offering him a moment of false comfort using her hands. As Johnny relaxes to the touch, she casually mentions that she killed Matthew, describing in detail how she did it and disposed of his body. Johnny laughs, thinking it's a joke, but as he gets even more comfortable, Jennifer grabs the knife Matthew had brought and severs his part. She leaves the bathroom, locking the door behind her. Johnny's screams echo through the cottage, but Jennifer drowns them out with loud opera music. She waits until the sounds cease, then returns to dump his body in the basement. She burns his clothes in the fireplace, erasing any trace of his presence. Meanwhile, Stanley and Andy learn from Johnny's wife that he is missing. Furious, she accuses them of being a bad influence and blames them for Johnny's disappearance. She sends them away with a warning, vowing to make them pay if they ever return. Determined to find Johnny, Stanley and Andy take their boat to Jennifer's cabin. Jennifer hears them approaching and hides, watching as Andy steps ashore with an axe, while Stanley stays in the boat to keep watch. Jennifer slips into the water, swimming silently to the boat. She shoves Stanley overboard, then climbs aboard and circles him, mocking him just as they had done to her. Andy watches from the shore, frozen in indecision as Stanley calls out for help. When Stanley grows too exhausted to struggle, Andy finally moves. Jennifer speeds the boat toward him, and Andy swings the axe, but it slips from his hands and falls into the boat. Jennifer grabs it and retreats, leaving Andy to swim out to Stanley. As the two men struggle in the water, Jennifer watches coldly. Just as they begin to think they might survive, she plunges the axe into Andy's back, ending his life. Stanley, now alone, clings to the boat's motor, begging for mercy and blaming Johnny for everything. Jennifer leans down, repeating the same cruel words Stanley once spat at her during the assault. "Suck it," starts the motor, ending his life with the propeller as she speeds away.